Welcome to channel Qtomation. In our previous session, we have seen how we can work with XML response type. So whenever we want to validate any API via rest assured, and if the response is coming in the form of XML, then how we can perform different validations that we have started with our last session. So in today's session, we will also continue that same session. So in previous session, if you haven't watched that session first, I would recommend to see part 1 of this XML response validation session. So in that session we have seen couple of approach. First approach by using given, when and then section. So we have seen how we can put basic validations in then section as well. Then we have seen we can store the entire response in response type of object, and then on that we have performed various validations on that response type of object. In today's session, we will see some more additional validations on XML response. We will use the same URL. So this is the URL which we are using currently, which we have configured in bscepter, and if you hit this URL in Postman, we are getting this response. So you can also configure free mock URL for your testing purpose. How to create that mock get request, that is covered in part 1 of this session. So if you are starting directly with session 2, I would recommend first watch part 1 of this session. So you will understand how we have configured this endpoint to give the response like XML type. So it is giving you XML response. In this XML response, basically it contains books information. So books contains around 10 products, 10 books, and each book has title, author, and price. So total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So total 10 books are coming in this response. Now let's say in today's session we will see some more validations. For example, I want to find out whether in this XML response number of books which I am getting are 10 or not. I know that there are 10 book incoming in response. So I want to verify via rest assured. I want to put the validation to check if I am getting 10 books in this response. That is the first validation we will check. And after that we will also verify. Let's say currently this is coming in this specific sequence. But it might happen that after some time this sequence might change. So if you have put the validation for, let's say, book present at 0 index, you have put the validation. But after some days, or let's say after some interval, the sequence gets changed. So your validation will fail, because if you put JSON path, if you put XML path, not the JSON path, but XML path. So in case of XML response, we use XML path. So if you have put XML path for 0 index book, it will fail, because if the sequence changes, some other book details will come here. So in such situation, what to do? So that we will see today. We will also use one approach in which we can verify if any specific book title is present at any sequence, then it should validate. Even if the position of books changes in this response, then also we should be able to validate correctly. So now let's see practically how we can verify that. So I will use the same example which we have used in our last session also. So I will just comment out this part. Let's comment out this code. Then I'm just copying this and I'm going to create a new method. So I will just uncomment this one. Or let's create a new method itself. So now what I will do, let's create a new method. Let's name it as void test xml response demo. So I have created a new method. In this method again we have to put at the rate test validation, at the rate test annotation for test ng. So we have already created the class. In this class we are creating a new method now. So let me just, and we will use the same endpoint URL. So I will just copy this part. So now what I am doing is we are using given section which don't have any prerequisite as such because we are using get call. In when section I am using get type of request which will hit this URL, which will get the response from this URL, and that entire response we are storing it in a response type of variable. Now this will contain the entire response. Now if you remember our previous sessions where we have validated for JSON type of response, we have used JSON path. And after JSON path, we have also seen use of JSON object. So we have created object of JSON object class to perform additional validations. Similarly, in XML response, we can use XML path class object. So now what I will do, I will have to just create one object for XML path class. So I'm just creating a new object for XML path class. I'm naming it as XML obj equal to new XML path. So it will create object of XML path class. Let's import that. So we have imported that class. But in this class, when you create the object, we have to pass this response. But we have to pass this response as in string format. So whenever we want to convert entire response into a string format, we have to use response as string method. So we have to use as string method which will convert this response type of object into string format. So now this is the object which we can use to put some additional validation. Now first thing I will do is, my use case is I want to find out total number of books present in this response. So how to find out total number of books? So when you hit this request, you get total 10 number of books. And I want to find out, I want to validate if the number count is 10 or not. So we have to validate for this book node. So total number of book means how many records are coming for this book node. So for that what we have to do, we have to use this XML path class object. We have to use one method, that is get list method. So when you use XML object dot get list, we have to use XML object dot get list method, and in this get list method we have to pass XML path. What XML path we want to pass? I want to find out all the book present in this books. So how to write the XML path for that, which will cover, which will contain all these books. So books is a parent node, or we can say a root node. Books dot book. When you will use books dot book For example, we have to use books.book. So it will contain all the book nodes which are present in books parent node. So total 10 book node will be fetched by using getList method. And what we have to do is, after fetching that information, it will give you a list format. So it will capture multiple XML path locators. So if you see books.book, so first one, second one, third one, fourth one, and total 10 records are there. So we have to store that in list format. So we have to create one list type of variable of string. So it will be, all values will be in string format. So we are just creating a list of strings, and let's name it as books, or we can say all books equal to xml object dot get list in the form of books dot book. So now this all books will contain list of strings. It will contain list of strings which are basically books dot book. And what we can do, we want to find out the size. So how to find out the size of list? By using dot size method. So before that, let's import this list. And now to check the size, let's say I'm creating one more variable. Let's say integer list of size equal to, or we can directly also assert that. So for example, what I can do, I can directly use assertion, assert dot assert equals all books dot size. So what we are going to do, we are going to use all books dot size method. It will return the size. It will return how many elements are present in that list. It will give you size of list, comma, and what is the expected value? 10 is expected value. So we know that there has to be a 10 products, 10 books should be present in that XML response. So it will validate total number of count should be 10. So if it is 10, it will check all books dot size should be 10. If it is 10, then only test case will pass. Now let's execute this test case. Now let's execute and let's verify whether it gets passed or not. And if you see, test case got successfully passed. Now if intentionally I want to fail it, what I will do, instead of 10 I am putting 11. So in reality, when it will give you the response, the actual size will be 10, but we are comparing intentionally with 11, so it will fail the test case. If you see why it is failed, expected was 11 but found 10. So in actual response, the size is coming as 10. Total 10 books are coming in XML response, but we are comparing with 11. That's why it failed. That means our validation is working correctly. Now the next step. Now my requirement is, I want to verify whether the Alchemist title book is present or not, regardless of its position. If it is coming in the response, if there is a book which is having title as The Alchemist, then my test case should be passed. That is my requirement now. But it can be at any position, not necessarily we have to provide it exact XML path here. It can be come at any position. So in such situation, what we can do? So in such situation, we can use for loop. But before that, before using the for loop, let's first just print all the titles of the book. I want to print, I want to parse through XML response. I want to fetch the title of all the books and I want to print those title. All the 10 book title I want to print. So for that, again, what I will create? I will create one list type of variable. which is of string equal to, I have to again use that XML object. So this is the object I can use, XML object dot, again I have to use get list, and this time we have to pass XML path which will capture title of all the books. So if you see, the parent node is books, books dot book dot title. If you provide books dot book dot title, it will capture all the titles, first title, second title, third title, all the titles it will capture. So here we have to provide XML path like this, books dot book dot title. If you provide index, let's say 0, what it will do? It will capture the book title of 0th index element. If you provide 1, it will capture title of, only title of second position, that means first index book. But we have to capture for all the books, so I'm not giving any index here. So it will capture books dot book dot title. So what it will do, it will capture all the title of all the books. So it will capture title of all the books, and that we can store inside this list, right? So we have to provide some name as well. So for that variable, let's say I'm providing name as books underscore title, books underscore title, book underscore, let's say titles. Now it contains all the book titles, but I want to print one by one all the values. So I can use advanced for loop. So inside this for loop, I can use string, let's say single book title. I want to fetch from these book titles one by one. So what this for loop will do? So this for loop will basically, in first iteration it will fetch. So these book titles contain all the 10 book titles. So one by one it will fetch in book title and it will print that value. In first iteration it will print that value. So I'm just printing that value. Let's say book title. So in first iteration it will fetch the first title that is present at 0th index. It will print that. Then it will check for next value. In next iteration it will fetch book title of second position book, that is first index book. It will store that value in book title. It will print that title. Similarly it will go on unless all the 10 book titles are printed. So now let's save this file. Let's execute this file and let's see whether it is able to print all the book titles correctly or not. So test case is passed, and if you see the console output, total 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. All the 10 titles are correctly printed in our console. That means we are able to capture all these titles. Now comes the next step. I want to validate whether this title is present or not. If it is present, the test case is passed. So again, let's go to our code. So instead of printing all values, we can simply put one assertion. Assert, or we can simply use if else condition as well. So I will simply use if, I want to check if this book title, if book title dot equals, what is the expected value? We want to check this value. So I'm just copying this. Let's paste it here. If book title equal to this value, what we want to do? We can use assert dot assert equals, or instead of assert equals, we can simply use one variable status equal to true. But before this loop, we have to declare this and give some value to this boolean type of variable, boolean status equal to false. So it is similar to validation. So we have already seen in our previous sessions of JSON type of response. So similar example which we are seeing now, but this time response is in the XML format. So I'm defining one status type of boolean variable. I'm assigning initial value as false. Then I'm using one for loop. Inside this for loop, I'm checking for every book title, and if that book title matches with the alchemist value, which is our expected value, we are making status value as true, and immediately we are breaking the loop. We are coming out of the loop. We are coming out of the loop. And after that, inside this for loop, we can put the assertion assert dot assert equals, we are going to compare with this status. So if status value is, we are comparing with this status. So what it will do, if it finds this book title, so if this book title matches with this one, so in iteration, if the book title matches with this one, it will make status as true. It will come out of that if condition and also from this for loop, and then it will pass that status value as true inside this assertion. So true and true matches, so this assertion will pass and it will make our test case also passed. But if it does not find, or in all the iterations if it does not find this the alchemist value, then status will remain false only. It will never enter in this if block because the condition will not match. In that situation, status will remain false. It is going to compare true with false. So obviously test case will fail. Assertion will fail and test case will also fail. So now let's save this and let's execute this file. Okay, so let me just see some syntax error is there. So this is a if block. One curly bracket was missing. Let's save this file and let's execute this file now. So this test case should pass now because it will find that expected value of the alchemist in the response. So it should pass this test case. If you see test case got failed, let's see why it is failed. Expected true but found false. Why it found false? Let's see. Let's check the value once more. Let's put this title again. Let's run as test-ng test. So why it is coming as a false? Can you find out the mistake here? So if you see, we have put this assertion immediately after this if block inside this for loop only. But ideally it should come out of this for loop. So I'm just copying this and let's paste it outside of this for loop. So now it will work correctly because initially it was inside the for loop. So in first iteration only it got failed. So that's why it was failing. But we have to put this assertion out of the for loop because once the condition gets matched, it will break the loop. It will immediately came out of this loop. So that's why it never asserted the values correctly. So that's why we have to put this assert statement out of the for loop. Now let's execute this file, run as testng test. So now it will perform the iteration, and if you see, test case got passed because it was able to find out this value in the response. As soon as it found this value, status become true, break statement got executed, so immediately it came out of this entire for loop. So it came out of this for loop, and then status value was true. So true got matched with true. That's why this assertion got passed. If you intentionally want to fail the test case, what we can do? Here I am just adding some incorrect expected value. So now what will happen if I execute this test case now? It will again perform the iteration. It will capture all the titles. It will try to match the title with this one in every iteration. But for all the 10 titles, it will not match with any of the value similar to this. So that's why Boolean status value will remain false only. It will never enter in this loop. It will never enter in this if block. So this condition will never get executed. So it will perform all the 10 iterations, but it will not enter inside this if block because it will not match with this value. So no value will match with this one. So status value will remain false only, and then it will be passed into this assert statement where we are trying to assert false and true together. So it will not match. It will fail the test case. It will fail the test case now. So let's execute this file as testng test. It will start the test execution, but if you see, test case got failed because it was expecting it to be true, but it never matched with any of this value. That's why the test case is failed. So now again let's put the correct one, or let's say put some another value now. So instead of this one I will put this value, Brave New World. So now it will again check for all the 10 book titles. If it matches with this Brave New World, again the status will become true. It will break the loop and it will perform this assertion statement which will eventually get passed. So it will make test case as pass test case. So let's execute this test case now. And if you see, test case is passed. So this is how we can work with various validations on XML type of response. So by using XML object. So far we have seen both the type of responses. We have seen for JSON response, how to use JSON path and JSON object. After that, we have also seen various validations on XML type of response by using XML path object. So I hope you have understood both the sessions. If you haven't, please watch those sessions one more time. In coming session, we will see some more interesting topic of rest assured. So thanks for watching this.